Hey guys, welcome to Fantasy Effect episode 43, tight end rankings and a week 8 preview. We're brought to you by Dynasty Theory in partnership with Dynasty Daddy, and as always, Fantasy Football Infinity. We're short a holler today, but we got our main button pusher back. How's it going, McSpanky?
Good, man. I like that. I'm the main button pusher.
You
Something
are.
you guys can never take away from me.
No. Nope. We survived somehow last week. Thank goodness Holler volunteered to push all the buttons in the DMs. After you sent all the screenshots, I was like, yeah, dodged a bullet here.
Yeah, no, you guys did awesome. I was sad that I missed, but you guys did great, and we'll hopefully pick up the slack for Holler being gone this week, and hopefully next weekend we can all be back together.
Yeah, we'll get back into a three-way, that's for sure. No problem.
Nice.
Okay, so you want to pop right into the news here?
Let's do it, man.
Okay, we got Jerome Ford with a high ankle sprain. He's expected to miss 1 to 2 weeks. You know, high ankle sprains are never fun to deal with.
No.
What do you think?
Those are concerning because he might miss those 2 weeks, but even when he comes back, it's probably not going to be the same. Jerome Ford. I think a lot of times your production takes quite a bit of a dip for probably another 2 weeks or so after that. So we're looking at probably a good month before we start seeing production again. And that offense wasn't good before, and now it's Kareem Hunt and Pierce Strong,
PJ Walker, baby,
and PJ Walker, maybe Deshaun Watson.
I don't think he's playing I don't think he's playing this weekend already. I think they already came out and said
Did they say he's out already?
I think so. I might be. Well, they re-elevated PJ Walker to the from the practice squad, and I kind of thought right then and there, I'm like, oh, that probably means Deshaun isn't playing. Then I feel like it came out a few minutes later.
Yeah, so that's part of the problem with the contract he got is when you have all your money already, what's his guarantee? What's his incentive to come back? If he's not 100%,
that's what dude. Okay, I've been having the same thought. He just doesn't want to do anything. He's got all the money now. Why?
Why risk if his shoulder's still messed up? Why risk coming back and messing it up worse if he's still going to get paid? Especially because he hasn't playing at a high level anyways. So
right now, nobody, people are just making fun of me because I'm not hurt and not playing, not because I'm playing bad now.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Before I get too far down that rabbit hole, Zach Ertz to IR. I was kind of surprised and shocked when this happened. I didn't even know he was hurt.
Same. I feel like, I was surprised that he came back as soon as he did from last season's injury to start the year, and he's playing really well, and then he got hurt again, which I think kind of is the Zach Ertz way, unfortunately, but hopefully this leads to Trey McBride, who had actually been picking up quite a bit of targets, and he'd been getting more involved in the offense anyways, so hopefully we get some Trey McBride. I was super in on Trey McBride this offseason, so I'm hoping to see him really pick up the pace here, and I obviously don't want to see Ertz get hurt, but hopefully this is good things for McBride.
Yeah, we get a shot to see old McBride in the full the Lone Ranger out there now.
Yes, all sir.
Right. Dawson Knox having wrist surgery. And you were telling me before the show that the other tight end, Quentin Morris, I believe it was, he's hurt as well. So Kincaid, he's the lone tight end out in Buffalo as well right now.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if this is correct or not. Well, not. I know that Dawson Knox had fractured his wrist. Is that what it was?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had a hand wrist fracture in 2021. I don't know that this is or is not the same wrist. Either way, still not great when you hurt your wrist like that. You use your wrist for a lot of stuff.
Blocking, catching, his job, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Not awesome. Everything you do.
But should be a big week for Kincaid. Well, I guess big Thursday night for Dalton Kincaid, considering he's the only active tight end on the roster. So that should be good to see. This could be the coming out party. I know he had a really good week last week, but this will be the one. He can do it on the big stage.
Yeah, that'll be exciting. Everybody will get to watch it. I'm excited to see that one. Hold on, let me yell at my.
Yeah, of course. Yell at him. Yell about how good Dalton Kincaid is. He's finally gonna, take his place as tight end one in the class.
She ran right out of the room when I said that to her. I muted myself, and she heard all that, and she says, "Nope, I'm out. Get out of here." It's Sam
smoke.
Laporta in the class. Brock Purdy into the concussion protocol at seemingly an odd hour.
Yeah, it seemed like on the flight home, they said that he started exhibiting concussion-like symptoms. And I saw a stat from Adam Schefter earlier today that was basically like anyone who's got added to the concussion protocol has missed the following week, so it would be extremely unlikely that he plays. So it's looking like it's going to be Sam Darnold time in San Francisco.
Wow. Do you think he'll see any ghosts out there? I mean, listen, this is the Sunday before Halloween, too. If he's going to see ghosts, what better time than now? You know what I mean?
Now. I mean, he is, luckily for him, he's playing the Bengals defense, which wasn't quite the same as the Patriots, and the 49ers are a lot more, let's say, competent than the Jets offensive staff when he played there. So hopefully he's a little more prepared, and we'll be seeing just only 11 bodies out there on defense. Nothing extraterrestrial.
Right. No, I'm pretty excited to see this Sam Darnold experiment, and I want to see.
I actually think he's going to be good.
Yeah, how much of a system is this? You can just plop a quarterback.
I think as long as your name's not Trey Lance, you can do well in this offense.
Right. Right. Will Trent Williams be available, the left tackle?
I don't know. Let me pull up the practice report. I don't think Debo is. Actually, I know Debo's not. Williams didn't practice on Monday. Or sorry, that was for the game. Let's see.
He's an old man vet anyway, too, so he might not even have to practice, and he'll just get tossed in.
Right, that's the thing. He doesn't have to practice all week, and he just get put into the lineup.
This could all be vet rest. I mean, he is injured, but
he did not participate today.
He did not? Okay. Nope. Today's Wednesday. I don't care about that.
So, yeah, I think Thursday and Friday are kind of the more 2 days you're looking to see. Yeah. A lot of vets even just take Wednesday off, even if they're healthy. So,
hey, Holler's got his wife and grandma watching the show. Hi. Hey, Holler's wife and grandma.
Hi, welcome.
Thanks for tuning in. Happy birthday. We expect a cake.
Yes, we do. I'm sure it's delicious. Happy birthday.
I won't regale you of the tales that happened in the DMs about that cake, but anyway, neither here nor there. Maybe Holler will tell you.
A Discord story for sure. Ask us if you're. Anyways, Justin Fields didn't practice today, huh?
He did not. No, I'm not surprised. Dislocated his thumb 2 weeks ago?
Yeah. So the crappy thing with this is that he plays in Sunday Night Football. And their backup, I forget how you say his last name. Is it Bagent?
I'm just T-Bag or
don't think that's
Agent Agent Badgent is the only thing I'm calling
Agent Badgent. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
He played pretty okay for the Bears. So I don't think there's like a huge rush to get Fields back. So I think there's pretty likely that Fields probably misses this week too until he's right.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, I mean, with a thumb too, like that's how you grip the ball, and he does run a decent amount, so you don't want to put him at risk for fumbles and turnovers, and he's already not the most accurate passer in the world. So
right. He needs all the powers he can get. That's for sure.
For sure.
We got Tyreek Hill with a hip, Raheem Mostert with an ankle, and neither one practiced today.
Yeah,
worried about either of these two?
Tyreek Hill a little bit, just because I think it was either Tua or it was McDaniel who, when they asked him about Tyreek, they said, "Oh yeah, we'll see him again somewhere down the line," which I don't know if that meant like later this week, like in practice, or if it meant like, oh yeah, he's going to be out for a week or two. So that was a little bit concerning, just like the wording on it. But that's what I'm keeping an eye on for just Thursday and Friday's practice reports to see if Tyreek gets in any kind of like at least like a limited practice one of those 2 days. And then Mostert, I would assume that was probably more of a vet rest day because he's like 32. So I don't think I'm too concerned about Mostert, but Tyreek Hill a little bit.
Honestly, Mostert's the one I'm more concerned about, but that's probably more about his past as opposed to
fair.
I've seen Tyreek come up lame in a couple of these games when he comes back in. Start DJ Moore, Zay Flowers.
I'll throw that on there. So we got a question from Holler's stepdad asking about DJ Moore or Zay Flowers. So the Bears play the Chargers, which is a nice matchup.
Yeah.
However, you are starting an undrafted rookie at quarterback there. Given the situation, I would go probably Zay Flowers personally, but I wouldn't fault you for starting probably DJ Moore. I think he's probably the more talented receiver, but
he had 9 targets last week still.
He did.
8 of them for 54. So we'll see. Now there's a week of tape out there on old Agent Badgett.
Well, and I mean they were playing the Raiders defense, which was not exactly didn't exactly show up. So
is the Chargers defense any better?
I think so. They at least are competent. Look like they want to be there for the most part.
Max Crosby always looks like he wants to be there.
Well, the problem is there are 10 other guys.
Don't worry about that. We got TJ Hawkinson with his foot did not practice as well. Concerned about the Hawk Daddy?
Not a ton, just because so he got hurt in the game and then he came back and he still played. So I'm not overly concerned there. I feel like there's more just probably like a vet rest day. I would expect him. I would be surprised if he misses any time.
Yeah. I'm trying to think back to Hawk and being in Detroit on his injury reports, and I feel like he was on there quite often for little dings and nicks. I think he spends quite a bit of time on there.
He's a frequent flyer on the injury report. He's generally there.
Yeah. Should we get into these top dynasty tight ends since we're talking TJ Hawkinson?
Yeah, let's do it, man. So,
all right.
The tier 1 guys here, you and I both have Mark Andrews alone as the top one. Holler put his rankings in before he left. He has Travis Kelce as his top guy, which I like. I mean, if you're looking at just pure production, it's hard to argue against that. But I think him just being older is why I have Kelce down in tier 2. I have in my tier 2, I have Kelce, Hawkinson, and Ron's boy Sam Laporta. He's been awesome. He's young. He's like the rookie tight end we've been waiting for. Probably who we hoped Kyle Pitts was going to be. Yeah, exactly. My only regret with Laporta is that I took Kincaid and Mayer over him pretty much everywhere, and he was pretty consistently being the third tight end off the board in rookie drafts. And retrospect here, that was a mistake.
Lucky for me, he got drafted by the Lions, so that automatically gets you a bump, and I'll just draft you anyway.
Sure.
Just because you're a Lion, so I wound up with a lot of Laporta, which is working out very nicely for me. I also have Kittle in that tier as well, because I think I think Kittle's still just as good. You got your down weeks with Kittle, that's for sure, but there's also some very, very big splashes that'll win you entire weeks, which at the tight end position is good enough for me to get you up near the top.
That's fair. I have Kittle down in the next tier just because he's a little bit older than Hawkinson and Laporta, and I feel like that Kelce, Hawkinson, Laporta group is a little more consistent, where I feel like I don't have to worry about like them disappearing in a week.
Sure.
Whereas Kittle does have those occasional weeks where it's just like it's the Debo show or it's the Ayuk show, and it's Kittle kind of takes a back seat. So that's the only reason I have him a little bit lower, but. I mean, I have him in the next tier. He's awesome. And then in that tier 3, I have Kittle, Dalton Kincaid, and Dallas Goedert. Goedert is awesome when he's on the field. He's been banged up quite a bit. Dalton Kincaid, I think we're starting to see the breakout a little bit here. So some of that ranking is partly due to draft capital and just kind of the talent there, where I think we're going to start to see the production match kind of what we wanted with Dawson Knox now out. And then the last tier group I have is Kyle Pitts. I don't love having him there, but when you start looking at the different tight ends, it's like I can't really put him too much lower. So I have Pitts, Freiermuth, Evan Ingram, and Michael Mayer kind of rounding out that back end of the top tight end ones. But it gets gross, dude. Like looking
Very
at
gross,
the
very
different tight
fast.
ends, and I mean, just below that, dude, it gets even worse. Like the tight ends start just to get really gross.
Yeah, I was debating even including Ingram in here, and because of what you're talking about, McSpanky, with how gross it is after that, Ingram just got included in there. I like his quarterback, like his situation, and there's nobody else behind you, so you get to jump to the front of the line, buddy.
Exactly. I mean, like guys I have directly behind that group is like Luke Musgrave, Darren Waller, Njoku, Hunter Henry, Cole Kmet, Trey McBride. Like it's Dalton Schultz. Like it's not great.
No, not
It's
at
just a
all.
bunch of guys that are just kind of they're there. So the tight ends, like, well, so let me ask you this: if you don't have one of those top, like, let's call it like 6, 7 guys, so basically in that like Kelsey, Andrews, Hawkinson, Laporta, Kittle, Goddard range, Kincaid, are you gonna try? Do you try to trade up to get one of those guys, or do you just
No.
kind of say like I have maybe a couple of those back guys, and I'm just gonna kind of play the matchups and hope I don't get burnt too often?
I'll normally, kind of play the matchups. I always fall into the Gerald Everett because he's got Justin Herbert throwing him the ball. I always have Gerald Everett, I feel like. And I had previous love for Cole Kmet, so he holds a special place in my heart, so I'll draft Cole Kmet too. I still think he's actually an all right tight end just based off of the volume that he can receive versus some of these other guys.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, but getting late, you can get Tyler Higbee and you can get Hunter Henry. We got those guys super late. And where are they sitting right now at their tight end spots?
Let's see. So I have PFF's fantasy stats pulled up. Hunter Henry's tight end 14. Higbee's tight end 20. It's Cole Kmet's tight end 9 though, so that's nice. And that was with the goose egg that he put up last weekend. So
yeah, that's wonderful. Thanks, Agent Badgett. You know what? Send him to the bench. To the bench with you. You can't pepper Cole Kmet with these targets.
They also didn't need to throw because Dante Foreman was just running wild.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that is right. And
that might have been a little game scripty.
Somehow it was a blowout. Yeah.
Yeah. My dad was at that game.
Man.
And he was texting me. Yeah, he was
cool.
Was not having a great time.
Yeah. Was it in Vegas or was it in Chicago?
It was in Chicago. Yeah, he went with a buddy and he was texting me. He's like, "Oh, this is not great." I'm like, "Yep."
This is not great.
Sure not. Luckily I have Red Zone on, so I don't have to just sit here and doing this.
Oh, I shut the Lions game off in the third quarter after about the first drive. I'm like, no, I'm done now. I'm done.
No, we're done. We're done here.
I texted people after the first. I texted a buddy after the first drive, and I said this game is already over with. And I was very serious about that. I did not enjoy that game. Hopefully, we come back anyway. Enough with the Lions woes. Let's get into the Week 8 matchups.
Let's do it, man.
Bucks and Bills Thursday night. We got another tough defense for Josh Allen with the Bills. They can get tricky, man. Todd Bowles is going to bring that pressure too. That's for sure. Also, do you think Baker Mayfield has a future in Tampa? Because as of right now, they're probably going to win the NFC South, which means they're going to get a playoff spot, which means they're going to be drafting later and probably out of reach of some of these generational quarterback talents that are out there. Would they take a risk on one of these later quarterbacks?
That's a good call. I think Baker has played himself into a role just like you mentioned, right? They're probably going to make the playoffs because they're going to win the NFC South because that division's garbage. And then we've seen kind of quarterbacks that are taken in like the back half of the first round typically haven't done all that great. I mean, like Lamar Jackson aside, most of the quarterbacks that have done well have been like top 5, top 10 pick, right? So thinking like Herbert to Trevor Lawrence, those guys were all top 5. Yeah, exactly. Either the first overall pick or like CJ Stroud was pick 3. So just off the top of my head, some of the guys kind of in the back half. I know Kenny Pickett comes to mind. He was recent. That hasn't looked great yet. So I feel like it would be wise for them to keep Baker because he's playing decent enough, and they have some other holes on their roster that they can use that first round draft capital for. and then see how they do, and maybe they get a better draft pick the next 2025. But I do think Baker's going to be there.
They might just play themselves into the playoffs in the next 2 years, because I mean, can the NFC South turn it around that quickly? The Saints are in cap hell. The Panthers don't have their first round pick this year to bring any help for Bryce Young. And why am I blank? Oh, the Atlanta Falcons
are probably the
Falcons are
the biggest threat. If they get a quarterback besides Desmond Ridder, I think they have a roster that can compete with Tampa Bay for sure.
I feel like they're just not going to get a quarterback. I feel like that's like Arthur Smith's thing. He's like, watch me do this without a quarterback.
It's like a weird pride thing, right? Because he did it with Tannehill, he did it with Mariota. He's just like, no, I'm gonna do it with this guy, and you're gonna deal with it. And I'm gonna bench, Bijan, because why not? And
listen, hopefully he just got his way to that Tylenol. That's all I want to know. Is just take a few Tylenol, get rid of that headache, and get back out there, buddy.
That was disappointing. But back to the Bucs-Bills game. Josh Allen does sometimes struggle in these primetime games, especially against good defenses. And we've seen it. I mean, with that Giants game a couple weekends ago, he really didn't play like himself. This Bills offense feels off with this Bills team. Like I know they're a good team, but it doesn't feel like when you look at this Bills team, you don't think, oh yeah, that's definitely a Super Bowl contender. It's just like they're winning games, but something's wonky there. Something's not right.
Sure, I think they need something else, outside of Stephon Diggs. We're as much as excited as we are about Dalton Kincaid, I don't think any defense is going out there and game planning for what Dalton Kincaid's going to do to us this week. And when that's your whole offense, I mean, look how well that works for Justin Fields in Chicago. DJ Moore is the only show in town, so we're just gonna work on that guy.
I think realistically, you need 3 legitimate receiving threats for these for modern offenses.
Yep, I agree. I completely agree. James Cook has come on a little bit more as of late, but it's still, to be seen. Maybe they could give Josh Allen a run game, and then he wouldn't have to, do all the work himself.
I think that's the biggest thing is the offensive line doesn't seem like they can run block all that well. Cook has been doing pretty good though. Not so much in the running game, but a lot of receiving work.
Definitely that passing game. Yeah, that's for sure. Okay, well, Jets at Giants. Daniel Jones' status. I don't think he practiced today. He practiced in a limited fashion today. I'm sorry, but he has not been cleared for contact.
Yeah, which feels important considering their offensive line is like Swiss cheese.
Right. So he's probably going to sit down, I would think.
Plus, Tyrod's been playing pretty well.
Yeah.
Better than Daniel Jones has looked all year, at least in my opinion. So, well, that's fair.
Yeah.
So, I agree.
Aaron Rodgers have magical healing powers?
Dude, he must. How is he out walking around without a boot or a cast or anything? And he was throwing off weight on his leg the other day.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He doesn't have to. So at 40 years old, we're not expecting him to do anything athletic out there already. So I mean, he can just stand there in the pocket and just be like, okay, I'm just going to distribute guys that don't really, I can just get rid of it. Maybe that's his plan this whole time. He's like, I'm not going to move anywhere, but I can throw it better than Zach can on one leg.
Yes, that Zach Wilson he had that game against the Chiefs where a little bit of fool's gold where he looked good.
There's a little bit of Chris Collinsworth getting in everybody's ear holes and just yelling about how great Zach Wilson is.
He looked good, and then it's every week since then. It's just been like, oh, yep, no, that's the Zach Wilson I know.
Right. 3 spins in a circle and then chucks it out of bounds. Yes. You gonna put Garrett Wilson in your lineup?
I think you have to, but in redraft leagues, I'm not, because I think you can find better options.
Sure.
I can't get behind Zach Wilson. Breece Hall, though, for sure. We'll look him up, but
definitely yes. Okay, let's get into these Jaguars at the Steelers. Is Deontay Johnson the key to the Canada offense?
I don't think there is a key to the Canada offense.
Oh, okay.
Respectfully, it's pretty bad, man. But Deontay Johnson certainly doesn't hurt things. I think it's nice for Kenny Pickett to have another option out there, especially with Freiermuth back on IR.
Sure.
George Pickens.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, he is kind of what he is, right? He's kind of more of a boom bust kind of guy. Deontay Johnson's very consistent, but this offense is still just bad. Like, I don't like it, and I don't think Kenny Pickett's all that great either. So they're not doing any favors with either of them.
I agree completely with you, McSpanky. I'm just answering that guy's question a little bit, kind of asking him more questions about his question. Okay, Eagles at Commanders. Sam Howell has been sacked 40 times this year. Is that the worst in the league? That's got to be the worst in the league.
It's got to be, right? I don't know who would be worse. Maybe the Bears, but dude, that's like 5 a game or like more. That's more.
Yeah,
That's like 6 or 7 a game. But that's a ton.
Yeah, there's like a couple 8 games in there, I think, but yeah, I believe there's like a 5.
Some of that has to be him just holding on to the ball, but some of it too, like the play calling. If you know, like, you got to give him some quick reads and just be like, if it's not there, just huck it, dude. Like,
right, get it out.
How he hasn't got hurt yet is crazy. Good for him, right? Good testament for him. But
yeah, there's a reason he went in the 5th round, I think.
Fair.
Yeah, I mean, this is just, other than Brian Robinson, strictly out of a volume play. Anybody else you're really interested in starting or going after?
Kind of, just because this game. So this schedule's weird. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but there's like 3 matchups that are all like repeats that they have played within the last like 3 weeks. The Eagles Commanders played like beginning of October.
They did,
and that was actually, it was a high scoring game. I think it was 34-31. So, and that was in Philly. This game's in Washington. So I think there's, I mean, this game might have some sneaky offense to it. We know Philly's going to score and Washington's going to have to keep up. So I think,
huck it, chuck it.
I mean, Scary Terry, probably throw him in there. Curtis Samuel, probably get some work. Yeah. Dotson, maybe. Logan Thomas.
Yeah. AJ Brown's on a historic tear too.
Yeah,
he's averaging like 125 yards a game right now. That's like, they listed the players. I know Megatron was on the list, so I knew it was a good list. It's pretty wild, the listed names. I couldn't find the exact tweet or whatever that I saw it on, but I was like, wow.
Yeah, he's been awesome, and he's basically squashed all of Devontae Smith's value for the most part, which is a bummer. It's also disappointing because I think earlier this offseason I was talking about how AJ Brown was going to disappoint based on his draft ADP, and he has proven me very much to be an idiot on that one. He's been awesome.
Who, Devontae Smith still has?
No, AJ Brown. I was talking about how he was going to disappoint, but he has been fantastic. But Devontae Smith's been largely not great outside of like 1 or 2 games where he had some nice work there. So that's something to keep an eye on.
Well, it's tough when AJ Brown's your running partner and all Jalen Hurts has got to do is just huck that bad boy up into the air and AJ's just going to go get it for him.
That's fair. I mean, so Devontae Smith's been over 50 yards only twice this season.
Jeez Louise.
He went over 100 once, and then he has a 78-yarder, and then that's about it. So now, granted, that 78-yard game was against Washington, so maybe this is a get-right game for him, but
could be.
Some of these kind of high-end receivers have been struggling. I mean, Devontae Smith, you mentioned Jalen Waddle. Some of these guys that were high draft picks in startups and in redraft have been very disappointing. T. Higgins has been very disappointing. So.
Yeah, T. Higgins for sure. I was actually going to try to trade for some T. Higgins this week. Didn't work. Didn't have any good ideas either. That's part of the problem normally for me. I'm just looking at something for this guy. Man, no, I don't want to do that.
Let me see if I can pull up some T. Higgins trades. Well, we'll get to it when we get to the Bengals, but
yeah, sorry, I'm just gonna answer that guy's trade question. Are you keeping Brees in that? He's got 1.5 for tight ends. You want to trade Brees Hall for Laporta? I said keep Brees at 1.5. I don't know.
I think so. Yeah, I think I want Brees Hall there, but I do like Laporta. I think
like the idea too. Yeah, I like the idea
for sure.
Maybe ask for a second. Would you do it if they put a second on Laporta?
Depends where the second is. If it's a top half of the second round, yes. If it's a playoff second, no.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. Rams at Cowboys. Do you think we're going to get any more clarity into this backfield with Kyron out again this week, or is it just always going to be kind of a hot hand? We're riding a hot hand.
I think it's going to be a lot of a high hand. I think it's going to be gross. But I do think we're going to get a lot of Puka, a lot of Cooper Cup.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a good Cowboys defense, so we'll see what we get here. It might be a rough week for the Rams.
It could be. I don't know. Stafford will dice you up too, man. You never know. You never know. He could come out swinging. Vikings at Packers. Are you buying low on any of these Packers players? Any of these young guys? Everybody's talking about this is such a young offense. Maybe they can, put it together in the future. You got Dubs, you got Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Luke Musgrave, Jordan Love. These guys are all 3 years and less in the league, other than Jordan Love.
It's a young offense, but they're all bad. Like it doesn't. Great. I know sometimes in Dynasty we get caught up on like, oh man, the guy's only like 23 or he's only 24. It's like, well, that's great, but if he can't play the guitar, he can't play, man. Like, right. What are we doing? I don't care how you can have the youngest roster or in Dynasty and you can be 0-13 or whatever. So I don't really believe in any of these Packers. Like Christian Watson was fine when Aaron Rodgers was throwing on the ball. They're not getting an Aaron Rodgers anytime soon. Romeo Dubs, I mean, he was like a 4th round pick or 5th round pick. Like he doesn't have the draft capital. I think he's fine. Luke Musgrave is probably the one that I believe in the most. AJ Dillon, I don't think he's got the juice. I think he's on an Eddie Lacy type track. He just doesn't have anything. Yeah. And then Aaron Jones is good, but the offense is just so bad. And then Jordan Love, I think we've kind of seen this is why the Packers didn't give him the deal, right? And they gave him kind of that reworked kind of garbage, like here's a prove it deal, and he is not proving it. So I think they're going to be in the market for a quarterback next year.
Yeah, man. It's pretty wild to think about, just historically. I'll let you announce this next part here. This is all you.
Oh, Jordan Addison season is finally upon us. My boy Daddy Addy had a breakout game.
There you go. That's what I wanted to hear.
Just fantastic. I think I was texting these guys during the game on Monday, and I was like, "Oh, Addison makes me feel things."
Dude, when he ripped that one out of his hand, Kirk was almost primetime Kirk. Let's be real here. Everybody's talking about Kirk won that game. Hey. If Jordan Addison doesn't rip that ball out of that dude's hands, we're probably just talking about another Kirk Cousins failed primetime game. And I saw one other pass that should have been picked off too. Neither here nor there. Continue.
Hey, big Kirko showed up. All right, he showed up. Daddy Addy bailed him out a couple times. I'm just excited. I hope it's one of those things too. When Jefferson comes back, Addison continues to be more involved, because I think with Addison and Justin Jefferson, those two could be legit like one of the top 2 like receiver combos in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And Addison, I you guys can see it on the little intro. I have him as a potential, offensive rookie of the year kind of candidate. If Justin Jefferson gets put on the shelf, I think that's we saw that it might come to fruition here. So really excited. Love what I've seen from him.
Probably pump the brakes on that because I believe Justin Jefferson is recovering faster than what they expected him to. Is the last thing that I saw about Justin Jefferson.
It's funny that the Vikings have won a couple games in a row, and now all of a sudden Jefferson's
right.
His injury's starting to heal up pretty good.
Feeling real good, man. Mm-hmm. Let me get out here. Okay, Falcons at Titans. Once again I hope Bijan found the Tylenol.
Okay, can we just talk about Arthur Smith and how much he just hates all of us real quick? Like he's got Kyle Pitts and he just says, you know what, Jonnu Smith's going to be my boy. And then he's got Drake London, but he only throws it about 15 times a game. And when he gets some of those targets,
3 are catchable.
Right, exactly. And then for no reason, they just go, you know what, Algiers and Cordell Patterson are just going to carry the load in an important, divisional game this week.
Bijan, he slept poorly the night before. He said he didn't sleep well. He was feeling a little bit off.
That's fine, but he got in on like passing downs to like pass block. So if you have like a headache and you're not feeling good, why on God's green earth would you get put in for passing situations where you're going to pick up the blitz?
Right.
And then he got put in like the last drive of the game when the game was like on the line, and not to give him the ball, but just like the pass block. I'm like, what are we doing? It doesn't make any sense.
It was a very odd situation. I still can't wrap my head around it.
If you can't tell, that burned me on a couple leagues. So
hopefully it's a one-off. Hopefully that's a one-off with Bijan there. I am kind of interested in his. I'll be keeping my eyes closely on odd things around Bijan for a few weeks. Patriots at Dolphins. Can Mac Jones' success against the Bills carry over into this week?
I don't see why it couldn't. The Dolphins' defense is worse than the Bills' defense, so
sure,
there's no reason that it couldn't, other than the fact that this game is in Miami as opposed to in the friendly confines of Boston.
Sure. And Miito Ami. You know that Will Smith song? Welcome to Miami. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Will Smith got some bangers.
Big Willie style, yeah.
These games are always kind of gross. Just they're always a little bit lower scoring than you think they will be. Do we get some more Jeff Wilson this week with Raheem Mostert kind of banged up in practice?
I think definitely now. I think definitely we'll see some more Jeff.
My name's Jeff.
I'm excited. Yeah. Hello, my name's Jeff. Okay, we got the Saints at the Colts. Minshew mania. That's it. Just hucking it, chucking it, not giving a damn. Uncle Rico at his finest.
I love it. He's done awesome things for Josh Downs.
Yes, he has.
The passing game just in general has looked good. Like they lit up the Browns defense, which was
no one's done.
Nobody, right?
Not even the 49ers could do it.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself. So I love the Minshew mania, but the one thing to keep in mind is just like with like Ryan Fitzpatrick, sometimes the highs are high, but the lows are coming and the lows are low. So just be prepared if you're rolling with Minshew that you might get bit in the butt. Like a 4 interception game. So
didn't he have a 4 interception game last week?
Did he?
I think he threw a bunch of picks last week. I don't really know what he did. I know he was out there hucking it and chucking it. Also, Michael Pittman was a little bit unhappy.
Oh,
it was only one?
3 against Jacksonville the week before. So
3. Okay, there's the 4. That's how I got there. I just added 2 games together. Duh.
Perfect. Ron math. We got there.
Ron math. Pittman unhappy with his targets, and this week he's going to get the Saints defense and Marshawn Lattimore. So continue to be unhappy?
Maybe, but the one thing about Minshew is he will force it in there, so we'll see.
Yeah.
This might be the week where the 4 interception game comes. So just
very well could be. We got the Texans at the Panthers up next. We got the rookie QB off, Young versus Stroud. Stroud's gonna have all his weapons. It looks like Tank Dell's healthy.
Yep.
You got Nico out there. He's got Damian Pierce. And I was listening to another podcast. Somebody brought something up. Devin Singletary, his snap share has gone up and up and up and up and up.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's a little concerning.
Yeah.
For Damian Pierce. I don't have a ton of Damian Pierce, but
0.
I mean, that was the concern with him always, right? Is that he doesn't get a lot of passing work because he's just kind of a bruiser. So if he's not going to get the Derrick Henry kind of like just a ton of volume, he's not going to be like they always talk about. Oh, he runs angry. I'm like, well, that's great. He can run angry for 61 yards and get you 6 point, 2
right. If he doesn't fall into the end zone, he's Jamal Williams.
But in terms of like the rookie quarterbacks, like. It's like not even a debate anymore. I think CJ Stroud is just like exponentially better than Bryce Young is.
Wow, you measure quarterbacks in years, not weeks. Come on. I just saw that tweet today. So,
well, I just know what I've seen, and CJ Stroud has looked like a competent quarterback, and Bryce Young looks lost. So.
I'm just out here trying for it. Well, Bryce Young is also throwing the ghost of Adam Thielen, and that's it.
fair. I mean, they did it to themselves a little bit, so
They did.
hard
They
to
did.
hard to
It's not
fix
like
it
they
back
could
for
have
'em.
had somebody like DJ Moore around, and then you could have maybe had that pick for Marvin Harrison, and then you could have paired DJ Moore and Marvin Harrison together. That'd have been cool. You dummies. You can't predict. Hindsight's 2020. Whatever cliche
Sure.
you want to throw in here. They probably thought it was going to go a little better than it's gone so far. I would guess when they made the move.
For sure. I also still think the coaching staff wanted CJ Stroud, and the ownership stepped in and said, no, I want Bryce Young. So
Nope.
I think they're dealing with a quarterback that they don't want.
Listen, I listened to it's called the GM Notebook on The Athletic. It's on Saturdays. It's their Saturday episode. They were speaking about the young Stroud situation, and everybody went around. They went around the room, and it was unanimously Bryce Young. Unanimously Bryce Young, apparently, is what I was told. They weren't going to make Frank choose quite so early, because he had just like arrived there, but like they were basically like already on Young in like February before the combine. Yeah,
I want to believe that, but I don't know if I do.
Who knows? Who knows? I mean, freaking Matt Rule's wife is the one that picked Chuba Hubbard, right?
Is that right?
I'm pretty sure there's some weird story like that out there. Yeah, I'll have to look around for it. Yeah. Okay, we got into the afternoon. Browns at Seahawks. The Deshaun Watson health. We kind of touched on that early, didn't we?
Yeah, I don't know if he's playing. If he does, is he gonna finish the game? And then that offense is just bad. Like if Jerome Ford, like obviously he's not gonna be available, so I think it's Kareem Hunt is probably leading the.
Kareem Hunt, Pierre Strong.
Do you want any of that offense? Like, do you feel like even Amari Cooper? Like, do you feel okay starting him? I don't think I do.
I'm not okay with it, but you probably have to because it's Amari Cooper and you can chuck up a deep one to him, I guess. But man, Seattle has good corners too. So I mean, it's not going to be easy sledding out there either. That's for sure. They also just signed Frank Clark, so that pass rush is going to be improved. Yeah. Okay.
It's going to be a low-scoring game, I think.
I think so too. I think this is definitely going to be a stinker because the Seahawks will just turn around and hand it to Kenneth 30 times a game. They're fine with that.
Oh, for sure.
So, all right, we're going to move on to the Bengals and the 49ers here.
Yeah, let's do it.
This was kind of before I put this question in before Purdy had the concussion, and I did the notes yesterday, and the concussion shows up today. But is Purdy turning into a pumpkin?
I don't know. I don't know if I want to go that far just yet, but he has put together two of his worst games back to back, which is a little concerning. And it doesn't look like he's going to be able to go this week. So, assuming he gets to play the week after, I think we can kind of see then. Hopefully, he has a nice bounce back week.
Sure.
If Debo's back, I think maybe he's just one of those guys where he needs all of his weapons to prop him up, where he's not a guy that's going to, prop up his weapons, right? So,
right.
I don't know, but I mean, even without Debo, he still had CMC and Kittle and Ayuk, and it didn't look super pretty. And it's not like the Vikings defense was. I mean, I get the Browns because they've had a good, defense all year long.
Right.
The Vikings defense has been pretty porous most of the year. So the fact that they were affecting him as much as they were was a little concerning. I know CMC wasn't 100%. It kind of showed he looked like
they do bring all that pressure too all the time, and Trent Williams is out too, your left tackle, so
that's true.
Probably sitting in his mind. But I did see a tweet from a guy who was an Iowa State fan, where Brock Purdy's from, and he says, "This is the Brock Purdy we're used to at Iowa State." So that was concerned. That's a concerning tweet. If you're a Brock Purdy guy, glad I sold some off for a first. That was nice.
For sure. So I do remember Brock Purdy was very streaky at Iowa State. There would be times where they went into like Oklahoma and he would just light them up and play awesome. And then he would just completely, crap the bed the next week against Kansas. So this doesn't feel super out of character. I was hoping that Shanahan took that out of him a little bit, but this might just be who he is.
Right. Sometimes you are who you are. And you know what you know. Chiefs at Broncos. Is Rashee Rice the wide receiver you want?
So he's second on the team in targets behind Travis Kelce, which is pretty crazy. I think he is the receiver you want. I mean, Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore, they're whatever. I think they're role pieces. McCole Hardman's back, but he's not anything special. He gets his
Return to
little
punt.
screens and yeah, exactly. He's fine.
Yeah.
So I think Rashee Rice has actually looked pretty good too. Like he's getting targets and he's kind of looked the part. He's kind of that receiver that they haven't had like a big body guy that they haven't had in a long time. I mean, they had Tyreek Hill, but Hill's just fast and small. So
right. He's quietly been doing this too. I didn't really realize he was second right behind Kelce in targets. It's not hard with the group that he's competing up against, but still, I mean that's good signs for him. If they're going to keep that group around.
For sure, like it seems like the Chiefs always draft these receivers and they never quite pan out, but he's been pretty consistent. I know he hasn't set like the world on fire, but he's like consistently getting like 5 to 7 targets a game, and in weeks where there's a lot of teams on buys, like that gets you through some weeks and you can count on some decent production. Maybe he catches a touchdown and he's good, but
that touchdown upside's always there with Patrick Mahomes slinging the rock. That's for sure.
Would you try to buy Rashee Rice right now, or are you just kind of do you believe that much, or are you just kind of like, oh, this is kind of a nice thing?
I actually did get Rashee Rice, but coincidentally, I didn't buy him. I was offered something, and then I wound up countering right before this weekend's game.
Okay.
For Rashee Rice, gosh, who was it? It was Mayer. I traded Mayer for Rashee Rice and an early 24 second in a 1.5 tight end premium league. So I felt pretty okay with that one.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
But that's kind of the only way I'll get Rashee Rice is I felt like he was almost just like a cherry on top of that one because Mayer's kind of at that late first, early second value, and that's in 2 tight end premium leagues. That's not even the 1.5 of the league I was in.
Yeah, I saw. So I just pulled up the LF's trade finder. I saw Rashee Rice went for 2.24 seconds. Rashee Rice and Michael Wilson for Javonte Williams and Jaleel McLaughlin. Rashee Rice and Wandale for Calvin Ridley. Like I feel like he's fairly obtainable, kind of right in that probably like 2.2s or a little more than 1.2 kind of range.
Would you do 2.2s?
I wouldn't pay 2.2s for him. No, I don't believe in him that much.
Yeah, I'll give you a late 2 for him at this point in time.
I mean, that's probably what
you a mid 2.
That's probably what you paid for him this spring, right? In rookie drafts. So
yeah, that's true. You think any of these Denver wide receivers get moved prior to the deadline?
Maybe. I don't know. I think Denver thinks that they're worth more than they actually are, and I think they're looking for the hold the bag because they're in a bad spot.
They need the bag, yeah.
They're in a bad spot with one the Russell Wilson trade, and then 2 with the Sean Payton trade. They don't have a ton of draft capital, and they have a bad roster. I don't know. I think because of that, they might not be able to trade either of them because I think they're just looking to get too much.
Yeah, I agree. Unfortunately, it feels like we always get super hyped up about the NFL trade deadline showing up, and then Cole Hardman gets traded for a 7th round pick, and that's about it. That's the
I think the deadline's Halloween, right? It's the 31st.
Yes. Yeah, it's a spooky season. Okay. Supposedly the Lions are super active in calling around. I haven't seen anything other than like one tweet about that. Okay. Sure. All right. Great. I mean, they have made it. Right. That's exactly it. Ravens at Cardinals. Zay Flowers or Jordan Addison?
You know my answer to this. It's Daddy Addy, baby.
Okay.
All right. It is closer than
I
think it
got to
was.
Be very close at this point with Zay's performance, and they seem to really want to get him the ball. That's kind of why I wanted to ask the question. I know Zay was, the 3rd or 4th wide receiver off the board in most of our rookie drafts this past year. How do we avoid, missing on Zay and going for people like QJ and JSN at the places they were. Neither are busts yet. You can't call them a bust yet. And I'll even give guys another year. I don't like QJ at all.
Quentin Johnston's close.
He's really very close.
He's bordering on it. But I think the only one that I think is egregious there was Quentin Johnston over Zay Flowers. And I think I not to toot my own horn, but I took Zay over QJ pretty much everywhere. So
nice.
But the JSN one, I think we had the right process. I think the talent for JSN was there over Zay Flowers. It's just the situation hasn't quite panned out for JSN yet.
Sure.
So I'm not ready to admit defeat on that one just yet. And then I still would take Addison over Zay Flowers. So I don't think we were totally off. It was just kind of a good class. Because you think right in that range too, like Devon Achane was in there.
Yeah.
Kind of in that range. Dalton Kincaid was in that range. Laporta, Mayer. Like it was a really solid class.
Very much so. Very much so. We also had Kyler Murray as a full participant in practice today. Is he gonna play this week?
So I put that in there. I don't know if he plays. I think it would be a long shot for him because he's still got to get activated off the IR. But the fact that he was a full participant was interesting to me. I was not anticipating him playing most of this year, and so
same.
But the Cardinals have been surprisingly frisky, and so I mean, there's a pretty realistic shot that he plays next week, right? Like if he's already practicing, assuming there's no like setbacks, like then he doesn't start swelling up or weird things happening. Like I think there's a decent chance that he sees the field within the next let's call it 2 weeks.
My thing with putting him on the field is why? You're not beating the 49ers in that division, and you're not getting a wild card spot.
All right. Let me pull up the schedule real quick. Because how far back are they really?
I don't know, but I mean,
okay, they're 1-6.
Like
they've played better than I thought their record was.
Yeah, they have they've been very frisky in games. That's for sure. I mean, I took them freaking in an underdog bet over the Bengals.
Yeah, they would. That probably didn't work out. They would need to go on a pretty historic run,
right?
Yeah, that's fair. I guess why play him, right? Because
you have this huge
injury,
right? And you have this huge trade chip right here. You could get a Matthew Stafford level return for Kyler Murray.
Do you think that they were like, oh, he's a full participant because maybe they're trying to trade him for the deadline to a team that could use him?
Maybe
Atlanta.
I was gonna say, what team's that in Atlanta?
Yeah.
Oh man, jeez, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with Kyler. I don't like Kyler. I don't have any Kyler. I think he's, he gets dinged up far too much. He's got too many attitude problems. He's just kind of, I don't know, maybe he's got some maturity stuff, coming down the pipeline after this injury. And he's, kind of sat out and been like, man, I really love the game and I want to be here. And they don't have to put that study clause in my workout stuff anymore. So I'm out here working hard.
The thing I will say for Kyler is he's still there. The regime that drafted him and all those guys who put the stuff in their contract, they're not there anymore.
Gone.
So this could be sometimes guys just need a fresh start, a fresh chance. So maybe this is the second chance he needed, and maybe he's got a better attitude. Maybe the injury kind of reset his mind, having to sit out for a little bit. So I kind of want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't have a ton of Kyler Murray, but I'm hoping. I'm rooting for the guy. I hope he's good.
Yeah, it'll be funny to see his little legs out there on the field again. He always cracks me up, man. Yeah. Okay. Sunday night football, Bears at Chargers. Is Eckler going to get it back on track?
I don't know, man. The Bears defense has played pretty well 2 weeks in a row now. Granted, I know last week was against the Raiders who no-showed, but the week before that against the Commanders, they played pretty well too. And
well, that's Brian Robinson.
Well, I mean, I understand that, but Eckler hasn't been playing great.
Yeah.
Something's wonky with this offense too. Like
Yeah,
it's not.
for sure.
I mean,
Can't really
part of
lie.
it's Mike Williams, part of it's Quentin Johnson sucks.
Yeah.
Keenan
Yeah.
Allen's out there. He's doing stuff. Like he's doing well, but I mean, Joshua Palmer's their wide receiver too, and Palmer's fine, but he shouldn't be in that role.
Are you putting him in your lineup, Josh Palmer? Firing him up?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, me too.
I think you have to.
Me too. Yeah, for sure. Anybody Justin Herbert is throwing the ball to, I'll take a shot on, except for Quentin
Well,
Johnson.
and that's the thing with
Let me
Eckler too is
say
you
that.
have to play him too if you have Eckler.
Right. Yep. You can't put him down.
There's the possibility that he goes for 2 scores and 150 all-purpose yards. So
Yeah. The second he's healthy, maybe we should listen to his podcast and maybe he's talking about what's going on out there.
That's
right
true.
now.
Yeah.
Try to do that every once in a while. So I found this interesting. Quentin Johnson has not surpassed 3 targets in a game at all this year. Mike Williams has not played since week 3.
I pulled up Quentin Johnson's stat line when I saw you put that in the notes, and I was like, huh, you're right. He really hasn't. I don't know how.
That's
like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
You took this guy in the first round and
took him over Zay Flowers.
Yeah. Yep. He can't get more. Frickin' Jameson Williams gets more targets than Quentin Johnson, and everybody thinks Jamo's a bum.
You took Johnson over Jordan Addison too. Like I don't understand what happened. Like, and then you don't.
I wanted them to take Addison because he's the same as frickin' Keenan Allen.
He's
Could you imagine
Keenan
those
Allen
2
clone?
technicians out there? Oh my lord, no one could stop them. But you took QJ instead with
Chargers
Mr.
gonna charge her. That is what it is.
Chargers gonna charge her. Should we move on to the Monday Night Football game and the big showdown, big rivalry, McSpanky?
This is the Ron and Spanky Bowl here, man.
Yeah,
this is good stuff.
We go.
Raiders at Lions. What do you got, Ron?
I don't have anything important. I'd fire up all your Lions for this one.
Yeah.
Spanky can tell you that. I don't want to trash the Raiders too bad. I do that enough in our DMs.
I'll do it. I have no problem doing it. They suck, and it sounds like Jimmy Garoppolo may or may not be able to play again, and so.
Ooh, wonderful.
I don't know if we're gonna roll out Brian Hoyer again because he really needs the reps in his career development. Yeah, it's important. Dude, I don't know.
See him get out there. Oh my goodness, Brian Hoyer, the journeyman.
Josh
remember
Jacobs
Cleveland Brian Hoyer?
Yes, I do remember that. Yeah, Jacobs was horrible. Devontae Adams wasn't really getting targets. It was a bad showing in Chicago. I can't imagine it will be. It can't be that bad again, but maybe it will. And I was telling Ron before the show, I was like, I kind of hope the Lions just rout them and hopefully put some pressure on Mark Davis to fire Josh McDaniels. So that's where we're at as a fan base. It's not great.
My fingers are crossed also that we just, set the ship right and, against the Ravens was just a fluky showing.
It's a good get right game for you guys.
Yeah, thank goodness that came at a perfect time, didn't it? And then we get to go into the bye. Okay, we get in a 2-minute drive.
Let's do it, man.
All right. So for my underdogs, I got Steelers, Titans, and Bengals. The Steelers are playing. I didn't put their opponents in here. It would have been smart to do that, Ron.
Jaguars.
Jaguars. Titans are playing the Falcons, and the Bengals are playing the 49ers.
Without Purdy, so that might be one where they were an underdog when you put the bet in, but they might not end up. I love. There's something about a home dog on the both of those with the Titans and Steelers.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's what I saw. I was like, the home underdog. The Steelers' defense is good enough, no matter what you think about their offense. Their defense has won them like 3 freaking games this year already. And then just the Titans. Gosh. I don't know. Maybe Derrick Henry can put it together for 1 week for me.
Probably can. He's probably got that in him. Although you're relying on Will Levis at this point, which might be a little dicey. So
it's gonna be 40 carries for Derrick. That's all I see coming.
That's fair. If I'm gonna get that volume he needs.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So mine was more of a Debbie kind of aspect. Just looking ahead to the 2024 class, the wide receiver class in this next year's draft class is freaking loaded, dude. Holler and Ron and I were talking just in the Discord the other day. There's probably about 6 or 7 guys who are legit like top 50 NFL picks. If you need a running back, if your team is like one running back away and you're hoping you have like a playoff first, I have some bad news. This is not the draft class. You might want to trade that pick now to get a running back. On the other hand, if you need wide receivers, I have some good news for you. You're going to have a plethora to choose from, and I think there's probably 6 or 7 guys that are going to be like legit, like probably top like 24 wide receivers within the next like year or two in this class. So just keep that in mind.
I agree with that. I'm totally pumped. Let me ask you this. Outside of Marvin Harrison Jr., we'll take him out of the equation. Who's the number 2 wide receiver in this class right now on the spot? Announce it to the world.
Probably Neighbors.
Give me Keon Coleman.
And
that dude's
Coleman,
a
and
He's
then
a freak.
Rome Odunze from Washington.
Yeah.
He's a bad man.
Yeah.
I'd say Odunze and Neighbors are probably the 2 that I would have as like the 2A and 2B right now.
Man, really? No love for Coleman out there. You've not watched Coleman play yet?
Coleman's great. I like the other 2 better. And that's the thing. It kind of talks to my point is that this class is awesome. And then we didn't even talk about Emeka Ibuka, who's also really good. So
yeah. And there's another Washington wide receiver.
Yeah, Jalen McMillan, and then you got Troy Franklin from Oregon and Xavier Worthy from Texas, and then Adonai Mitchell from Texas also, who I'm not as high on, but the scouts seem to love him. So there's a ton of dudes.
He's pretty sweet because I've seen him make some catches, and I'm like, oh, look at that Worthy, and then like all of a sudden you see Mitchell flash across the screen. I'm like, oh shit,
yeah,
look at that.
Yeah, no, they're legit. So it's a good receiver class.
Yes, it is. Well, on that note, should we get out of here?
Let's do it.
All right. See you guys later.
Peace out.